Season 2 of Rurouni Kenshin. It probably has to be one of my favorite anime arcs of all time. It is up there when it comes to action, suspense, storyline, character focus, character driven. Like, it's one of the best up there all time. Like, you can put this up with any strong One Piece arc, like an Alabasta arc or the Marineford arc. You can put it up there with the Frieza saga. You can put it up there with a couple of My Hero Academia arcs. Like, it is super solid. Heck, you put it up there with a couple of One Punch Man and Death Note. Like, Season 2 of Rurouni Kenshin is so good, and this is something that you should watch. Like, if you don't watch Rurouni Kenshin, if anything, watch this one season. It's only, what, 30 some odd episodes? Give it a shot. Enjoy it. It's like episode 28 to episode 62. So about 34, 35 episodes. Give it a shot. And I'm so excited because I'm going to talk about today on this episode of Movie Breakdown Series Review. What's up, world? Welcome to another episode of Movie Breakdowns. I'm your host, Ali Zakka. What's up, world? Welcome to the episode of Movie Breakdown Series Review. I'm your host, me, Ali Zakka. And what is Movie Breakdown Series Review? Movie review series. We look at new and old movies, give them a grade 8 through plus or minus a 3 count. And if you really want me to review, let me know. Please put in the comment section below, and I get to the best I can. And as far as review, that means like series reviews. Like, one of the series I'm doing right now is the Rurouni Kenshin is a series, for example, season 1 and 2, and there's 3. I'm doing a complete compilation review on it, but also the Star Trek movies series as well. I'm going to do 1, 2, and 3, then review a complete compilation review of the Star Trek series. So, as other series want me to do, let me know. Please put in the comment section below. And also on Patreon/Ali Zakka. And on Patreon, you get a cut in front of everybody for $2 a month. You can ask for any review, whatever you want me to do, and I'll get to it immediately because you're paying for my services. Also, shout out to Tyler Phoenix, my Patreon member, and also you get much more stuff on there, like trade reaction, trade reviews, much more stuff. And if you're liking this channel, you like what I'm doing, please like, subscribe. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Now, let's go and get today's review of Season 2 of Rurouni Kenshin. And this has spoilers in it, guys, so if you haven't seen this show, go watch it and come back. I am going to drop some spoilers in here. I'm noticing when I do my spoiler reviews, I try to keep it limited. I don't try to drop much stuff anymore. Before, I didn't care. Now I'm kind of more conscious of what I'm dropping. So in this video, I'm not going to try to spoil everything, but there will be some spoiler talks in here. And what is this season about? Well, this season is about Kenshin's successor, Makoto Shishio, has returned, and he is now trying to conquer Japan. He's feel like he has got enough manpower to rise up and take over the country. And it's up to Kenshin, a guy named Saito, Shinosuke, Miss Kaoru, Yahiko, and a few others to stop Shishio from taking over the country. That's pretty much the gist of it. But Kenshin also has to really focus on not becoming the manslayer he once was. And this season really pushes that home for Kenshin. Like, Kenshin loses himself probably within the first couple of episodes of Season 2 and almost slips back into being a manslayer. He almost does it, and he gets saved by a guy from the past who was actually somebody who was around the warring days, and he was able to snap Saito and Kenshin out of their fight, which is one of my favorite fights of the series, is when Kenshin faces Saito, like their rematch, and it is so good. Like, so good, tension, everything, and it's funny. Can now kind of go off into my first thoughts here, guys. But it's funny, when I watched this as a kid, it came on Cartoon Network during Toonami, and there were certain scenes that got cut out of that fight that was too graphic to be put on TV, and now watching it on Funimation, I see why. There's literally a scene where Saito is strangling Kenshin with his jacket, and Kenshin managed to get out of it, but like, you're like, what in the world is going on here? But as a kid, what you see on TV was after the scene where like Saito and Kenshin like disarm each other, it's like a quick cutaway and they're like resting. They were catching their breath, which in the anime, when Kenshin breaks out the chokehold, it's what causes Saito to kind of like catch his breath, which causes Kenshin to catch his breath. So I do like watching now versus watching then. Watching the unedited version was like completely almost different. Certain scenes and certain stuff got taken out, or certain animation was completely wiped out of the edited version versus not edited version, which I got more appreciation of the artwork that went into this season. And this season, by the way, as far as artwork and music, is done so well. It is amazing. The tension for certain scenes, the music beats for certain scenes, the soundtrack and original soundtrack in general for this season is also super solid. Starry Sky or Starless Sky is played on a bunch of other like samurai, and for example, one of the guys that does it is Gerard, who is a completionist. He has a YouTube channel where he complete video games, and one of his like Japanese style video games he played, Starless Sky, is playing in the background of that episode. I believe the song is called Starless Sky. Could be wrong on that, but the OC, the original soundtrack from this show, is on there. Also, Departure you hear on different places. The soundtrack is amazing. It really is. And the character storylines in this is also solid. So not just Kenshin have to dealing with facing his past, going back to Kyoto where he left 10 years ago after the war. He now has to return to face Shishio. He also got to find a way not to slip back into the manslayer. So that's his arc. But Yahiko and Miss Kaoru trying to go to Kyoto to try to rescue Kenshin and be support and be there with him, because Kenshin just left after an event happened that causing him to like, you know what, Shishio's trying to take over, I have to leave. So Yahiko and Miss Kaoru try to show that they're strong characters, they're not weak. Also, Shinosuke Sagara is another character who also tries to show that he is a strong character. He's not weak. And Saito kind of gets the best of him a lot in this series, or in this season. He has to constantly try to prove that he is stronger and he deserves to be amongst the, the big dogs of this anime. Which you give him props to that. Pretty much all the Kenshin friends really want to show that they're worth the Kenshin, and they all kind of do that in this season, which Kenshin thus believes, like, he believes in his friends, he believes in everybody now. He knows that they don't rely on him like they used to in the first season. So props to that. And when you look up Rurouni Kenshin, it's considered a romance / action series. And the romance part in this season really flushes to me between Miss Kaoru and Kenshin, where they never say I love you to each other or like fully full on admit their love for each other, but their feelings get stronger and stronger. Where Miss Kaoru, the reason why she leaves Tokyo to follow Kenshin, because of her love for Kenshin, because that she can bring Kenshin back. And the reason why Kenshin multiple times in this season thinks about death and wants to die, he doesn't do it because Miss Kaoru's there waiting for him. He thinks of Miss Kaoru, she's the last person he thinks of that keeps him going. Which is funny, as a kid I never really noticed that Miss Kaoru was the driving force for Kenshin to stay a wanderer, but in this season as an adult I really see it now. So like, okay. And Miss Kaoru has grown on me as well. I thought that she was just an annoying character as a kid, and as an adult I'm like, no, she's actually a pretty strong pivotal part of the series. And Miss Masao, who is another character that gets introduced in this season, Miss Masao I thought was a cool character as a kid. Now as an adult I'm like, this character's annoying as heck. And it's funny because she also shows like she gets on other characters' nerves as well. So she's not just annoying to me, but also annoying to the other characters. So good writing on that to show that like, no, she is an annoying character, but she's also at certain points could be a comic relief character and a strong character at the same time, which is really hard to do for some characters. A lot of characters get stuck between just pure comedy and not like strong characters, or they're strong characters and not comedic characters. And Miss Masao can fluctuate between the two between the two sides there. Which, any other thing I want to talk about before jumping into characters, Ashishina Mori returns back in this season. He on his vengeance hunt to be the best in the world for the sake of the Obi-Wan group, but really he learns that lesson. He learned a lesson this season that their goal wasn't about being the strongest. Their goal was trying to be like, you know, being a good impact, and they just became fighters for hire, or his group became fighters for hire. But the original Obi-Wan group was not. That was not their purpose to be like assassins for hire. Their purpose was just to be, you know, protectors of Kyoto, which I thought was kind of cool to see. There's two sides of a group that Kenshin faced in season 1. You get to see the two sides of them in this season, and actually Yahiko even talks about how they team up with the Obi-Wan group in this season. This season is a strong season. I can't think of anything wrong to say about this season. I cannot find anything wrong. Maybe the last half of it, the final fight between Shishio and Kenshin, there's a lot of flashbacks that happens during that fight that kind of drags it out. But at the same time, like, it's nothing you haven't seen in One Piece or Naruto or My Hero Academia. So like the flashback wasn't as annoying to see in this. But there were points in time where the flashbacks was popping up more and more and more in the last part of this season versus the couple of early fights. The flashbacks wasn't there. And not like flashbacks as in like a character's flashback that we got developing for a character. A flashback as in like, we seen this 10 episodes ago. Why are we watching it now? Or we seen this 20 episodes ago. Why are we watching this now? So I get it. Why they did it, because like it is a long time. I mean, also got to think about this. When this anime came out, there wasn't, you know, streaming services like you can watch it now and watch it all together. You might not seen this final fight. Like, to be honest, I never got to see the Kenshin versus Shishio fight actually happen on TV. I finally got to see it a few years later in spring, while I was in Springfield, Missouri. This is like years ago. So like I never got to see the final fight as a kid. I got to see it as an adult. So watching this again and watching it all the way through, I was like, oh, we just seen that not too long ago. But I guess if you watch it back on TV, you might not have seen that final fight maybe for 2 or 3 months since, you know, you've seen Kenshin versus Saito or Kenshin versus, I can't think of the dude who was at the village, Shingaku, maybe his name was, but like, yeah, so I would say, besides the final fight, other than that, this season is a solid season. I literally cannot think of anything bad to say about this season. Cannot at all. It's really good, guys. Go check it out. Okay, so I'm going to talk about characters here. So the characters, we have Kenshin Himura. Once again, solid character. Like, his storyline from him not slipping back into the Batosa the Manslayer, which he almost does at the beginning of season 2. He works his heart not to slip back into that, and you get to see what drives him, his origin stories on how he became who he became, and like his masters, the dude who trained him to become one of the greatest samurais of all time. You get to see Kenshin's storyline here, and it really gets you more attached to that character, which if you get attached to him in season 1, now you're definitely more attached to him in season 2 here, and his struggle on trying to save Japan and not slip back into being the Manslayer. I think his storyline was solid in overcoming Shishio and going through the gauntlet and still being who he is. I think it was very solid, and there was a part at the end of season 2 where I do like the writing here, because the characters, it shows that these characters are actually like are legit characters. They're not just written to like be plot points. Like, Kenshin does something where the other 3 characters, Kaoru, Megumi, actually 4, Kaoru, Megumi, Yahiko, and Sanosuke, all catch it. Kenshin does something he hasn't done since like season 1, and they're like, oh, you're making that noise again, you're doing that sound again, and he's like, I am, and he does it again, and they're like, you're back to yourself, and Kenshin's like, I guess I can finally relax now. Like, when he was so tense and into his fighter mode, his relaxation side is not there. His goofy side is not there, and he kind of relaxed at the end of the season. Like it almost felt like he could take a break. So I think Kenshin was great in this season. Sanosuke Sagara. Sanosuke, to me, I love. That's probably one of my favorite characters. Him and Saito. It's a draw between those two. But with Sanosuke, I didn't like in this season. They really made him a comedic character. He is a character who goes back and forth with a few other characters in this series, and kind of like comic relief points to add a little lightheartedness to some strong parts of the season. But like at the expense of Sanosuke, like he kind of gets rubbed on a lot. Like if you're watching wrestling, he's kind of like trying to think of a good character, like Heath Slater, or I can't think of the Italian dude who has a snake. He did that. Oh, what was his name? But like, R-Truth, for example, right now. Heath Slater and R-Truth, where they become characters just as goofy characters, and they can put on good matches, but really, you're not there to watch them wrestle. You're there to watch them be the comic relief to the series. And Cigar became that character. You know, he did learn a new technique that was pretty cool and a pretty solid technique, but he wasn't strong enough to, take on Shishio. And part of me wishes that Sanosuke kept his sword. I get the broadsword he had was too big and he only could swing it left and right or up and down. But maybe he had like a smaller version of that sword, would have been much more awesome, so he could actually go toe to toe with certain characters and not just be, the dude with the fists. But Sanosuke, I thought he was solid. I thought his character, like his growth in this season was also good. I was behind him. Yahiko finally got his first victory in this season, like his first strong victory without helping from anybody else. And Yahiko showed that he is getting stronger. He is Kenshin's like #1 supporter pretty much. He got his back, looked up to Kenshin, and it shows. And he always never breaks his power of belief in this season. Thought Yahiko was solid. And then Miss Karu actually became, as far as character development, her relationship with Kenshin goes stronger in this season. Like she really knows that he appreciates her and he loves her and she loves him the same way. Their growth is more and more stronger, but they don't ever confess it yet. As far as like fighting skills and ability, I feel like she got stronger. Like she's been training. It shows like when she fights the Juppon Gatana, one of their members, she doesn't lose. She actually wins. But like as far as her love relationship, that's the only thing that really changes. She's still the same person. She does have a mental breakdown when like Kenshin leaves, but other than that, like she gets over that thanks to prep talk from Megumi and Yahiko, and finally gets up and make something of what's going on. She gets more confident. I would say that she was more confident around Kenshin, but as far as a person of confidence in herself, she kind of always had that, and she doesn't lose that character. Saito is definitely, Hajime Saito is definitely one of my favorite characters. He is one of the Wolves of Nibu, one of the former opponents of Kenshin during the war. He's a rival group against Kenshin in the war, and he's a police officer now. And this dude is just badass. He's just a cool character. He has his own brand of justice, and he does what's right for the country. But like at the same time, you gotta watch out for him. He's a good anti-hero to Kenshin, and I'm excited to see what more to come with him. Like he's just a cool character, and his fight between Kenshin is pretty dope, and some of his fights in the wrestling anime is also cool. But like, when he steps up, things get serious. Ashishina Mori, Ashi comes back in. He has a couple of fights with Kenshin, but like he has an arc of trying to go from being the strongest to like not losing himself and realizing that okay, he actually is a good person, not just some dude bent on revenge. He has a little arc there, but yeah, Ashi was cool. And then Makoto Shishio, Shishio is simply your big bad in this season. You know why he's doing what he's doing. He wants to get back at the country of Japan for burning him, but also like take over the country himself. And his body is completely burned, so he's in wraps and bandages, but his body temperature doesn't stay cool. It keeps rising after 15 minutes. It just keeps rising and rising. But Makoto Shishio is a pure-blooded manslayer and does not care. And he purely believes the strongest will survive and the weak will die. And his following believes the same thing, and Kenshin has to kind of beat that mindset and fight that mindset in this season and show a lot of other characters that, like, you can't have that same mindset. Shishio is definitely a very menacing character, and the fact that he got anybody to follow him was very menacing as well, and Kenshin and the rest of the group had to find a way to beat him. It's a very big struggle, and he is the main big battle of this season. Like, it's his whole season, and every person Kenshin fought got him one step closer to Shishio. I thought Shishio was solid as a bad guy. I thought, like, his mentality, his mindset, his relentlessness, the fact that he didn't care who got in his way, he was pure evil and had to be beaten. And I think he was a solid villain for Kenshin to face, a good opposite for Kenshin. Masao Makimachi. I thought Masao was cool. I thought, like, she's a good character, solid character. She's a little comic relief for the seriousness in this season, but also some of her writing for her. I think if you're like picking, like, okay, what's the worst thing about the season? Masao's writing is actually some of the worst thing. Like, her talking points would go from what, like, how come we're not making this? How come we're not doing this? How come the government not doing this? And then go and, like, somebody responds to her, then she goes, jeez, like, why are you talking about this right now? And there is one scene where she does that. I'm like, that's not good writing for this character. So, like, she flips back and forth and could be a little annoying of a character to me. But Masao, for the most part, I think she was good for comic relief and good to be, like, the lightheartedness to the season, but also at the same time kind of be a reason for Aoshi's storyline for Kenshin to take underneath his ring, like somebody to kind of keep Kenshin from losing himself. Masao's kind of there to keep him down a little bit. And I think she even says that as well in this season. Miss Megumi is around. She's there for the most part, but really, she's kind of out of the picture to, like, out of the picture for the middle of the season. She's at the beginning and they're at the end. Kina, he's there to kind of bring more a character there to kind of add more plot to the story and kind of give more background for what's going on. But he's doesn't really do much action after he faces Aoshi. And Seijiro Hiko. Seijiro is Kenshin's master, and he comes in and kind of give Kenshin some more techniques and kind of teach him a few more things for facing Shishio. And for the most part, he's just a cool character, kind of like, you know, the big good for the big bad. Like, he comes in and saves Masao and Yahiko later on, but, like, other than that, like, he's a cool character. You kind of get to see him in action. I'm trying to think of anybody else. Sojiro Seta. Sojiro is a very interesting character. He is like Kenshin's right hand, or not Kenshin, but Shishio's right hand man. And for the most part, like, he doesn't have any kind of like emotions. The reason why he hides his emotions for so long, but he has a really good fight against Kenshin. And then one of my favorite characters is Anji. Anji is a fallen monk, and he's one of my favorite characters in this season because he has a really cool arc with Sano, and I feel like they kind of go back and forth. Sano, Sanosuke, but they have a really good back and forth, and they have a good fight. And I really appreciate that. Other than that, any other characters? Yumi, I guess I talk about Yumi. She is like Shishio's woman, and for a majority of the second half of season 2, she's really like with Kenshin and with Sanosuke as they kidnap her, tell him exactly where Shishio is, and she kind of leads him through the battle through the base, Shishio's base, to find Shishio, and she's kind of like a little bit comic relief here and there, and she kind of grows on you a little bit as a character. Like, all right, she's interacting with other characters. She's not just a one-note character too. So a lot of these characters there that I just mentioned, there are some pivotal parts of the season, and there's other characters in the season, but for the most part, I think everybody's written well. Everybody's strongly used purposely and used really good and kind of give good backstories on them. So good job there. Any other thoughts before giving my final grade? I think I talked about everything. I think the season is a solid season. The music is great. The design and writing and artwork is great in this animation. Like, it is really, really good for, you know, late 90s, early 2000s anime. Solid work. A couple of episodes where I was like, you can put this up today and somebody wouldn't realize this anime was made back in 1990s. Like, it is that good. Alright. Is this a season you should watch? Yes, watch this season. If you don't watch season 1, you can pick up this season and watch it. Yeah, you might be like lost on a few characters, but for the most part, you know who people are. And grading time. I'm going to grade Rurouni Kenshin Season 2 an A. It's an A. It is, you know what? Screw that. It's an A+. This season is an A+. It is super great, super done really, really well. Like, pacing of it, the writing of it, the storyline of it, the artwork, the animation, I think is done really, really well. Like, you are able to watch Kenshin go from Tokyo, leaving his current life behind, the present behind, to go fight the past, and you get to see him interact with Miss Kaoru and interact with these characters and interact with these other characters, and then you get to see like the bad guys' background point. You can see their storylines and their backgrounds, and everything unravels perfectly. Nothing really feels rushed. Even the final fight where you're thinking like it's over and characters coming out left and right to help out, but they wasn't just around, like they wasn't just hidden. They've been there the whole time. So it wasn't just like some surprise entrance. It was like they've been around. Like, everything about this season was written really, really well, and you get to see characters flex their muscles that didn't get to flex in season 1. It's solid. It's a solid season. I really don't have anything to say bad about it. Like, Miss Sal could be my nitpick, but might not be other people's nitpicks. So yeah, that's my thoughts. If you've seen Rurouni Kenshin Season 2, what did you think? Please put in the comment section below. It's an A+ for me. Other than that, see you guys in the next episode movie breakdowns, series review, and keep being awesome. Thank you so much for making it to the end of this video. I really appreciate that. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. If there's a review you want me to watch or do, let me know. Please put it in the comment section below this video. Also, you want to watch the last episode movie breakdowns, it's right there. Just gotta click on it and you'll be able to watch it. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. Love y'all, and keep being awesome.